Hey there, everybody. The purpose of this video is to get you some solutions to this Punxsutawney Phil data, not dat, data. And so, oh my God, here is the record. How many typos are going to be in this document? We'll find them all right now. Here's the record over 30 years. Okay, so I think this may have confused folks a little bit. Let's break it down and make sure we know what's going on. Now, the green and the red, ignore that for a second. We'll come back to what green and red are. This is called a contingency table. And what it allows us to do is it allows you to break a data set into two non-overlapping characteristics. So Phil is this groundhog we talked about in class. And he either sees his shadow or he doesn't. I don't know how they figure that out, but he either does or doesn't see his shadow. So if you're in this line up here, this represents the number of times he sees his shadow. He saw his shadow 11 times here, and he saw his shadow 10 times here, which means he saw his shadow 21 total times over this time period that they kept data for. How about the no? Well, that means he didn't see his shadow 7 times here, or 2 times here, which means he failed to see his shadow 9 times. So he saw his shadow 21 times, he didn't see his shadow 9 times. And maybe you figured it out, but that 30 down there is the sum of these two together. And it's also the sum of these two together, 18 plus 12. Now, what are these 18 and 12s? Well, let's go up and down. So let's look at this one. 18. 11 plus 7 is 18. What are these 11s and 7s? Well, the 11 we just said was when he saw his shadow. But why is it in this column? The yes is the row. I saw my shadow, yes. How about the yes? What does this yes up here stand for? Did the U.S. get an early spring? Okay, so I see what's going on here. 11 times Phil saw his shadow and the U.S. got an early spring. Got it. So this little cell here has both the characteristics of this and this. How about this one? This no over here. No, we didn't get an early spring, but yes, Phil did see his shadow. So that's what that 10 means. This 7 down here is no, he didn't see his shadow, but yes, the U.S. got an early spring. And last but not least, no, he didn't see his shadow, and no, the U.S. did not get an early spring. So you've got it broken into 4 regions here. Now, the reason some of them are green and some of them are red is due to the fact that, and again, I don't know, number one, what an early spring is, and I have no idea how they know if a groundhog sees his shadow. But apparently, if he does see his shadow, and we don't get an early spring, that is quote-unquote correct. That's why I made it green. Similarly, if he doesn't see his shadow and we do get an early spring, that is also a good thing. Again, I'm not entirely sure why these things are good or bad or whatever they are. Okay, so these first couple questions here, we're just breaking it down, and I think we already broke down part of it. There were 11 years on record where Phil saw his shadow, yes, and the U.S. got an early spring, yes, that's the 11. Next question, how many years on record did Phil see his shadow, but the U.S. didn't get an early spring? We just answered that, right? Saw his shadow, yes. Didn't get an early spring, no. It's the intersection of this and this. That's 10. 10 years on record. How many years on record did Phil not see his shadow, but the U.S. did get an early spring? Now, here's a not shadow, but yes, early spring. So that's 7 years on record there. And then here, how about not see his shadow and didn't get an early spring? So not saw his shadow, didn't get an early spring. That's 2 years on record. So you got 11 plus 10 plus 7 plus 2, which adds up to 30 years on record. 30 years on record. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And I said, let's look at the grayed out numbers. Oh, we actually just answered this. Let's look at the grayed out numbers around the perimeter. What are they all about? Well, that 21. Okay, so basically, you're walking through what the 21, what the 9, what the 18, what the 12 are. So 21 are all the years he saw his shadow, which I think I told you down here, right? Yep, all the years Phil saw his shadow. 9 are all the years he didn't. 18 are all the years we got an early spring. And 12 are all the years we didn't get an early spring. Now notice, if you add up 18 plus 12 plus 21 plus 9, you get 60. And that's because you've counted everything twice. So by only adding across or down, will you get the actual 30 that's represented in here. Okay. All right, that's the entire first page. Now let's go on to, I gave you the little green and red here. what percentage of the time is Phil right when he sees his shadow? So I did the math for you here. 21 times, 11 times he was right, so 11 times 21 times 100 to make it a percent, 52% of the time. So now I said, what percentage of the time is Phil right when he doesn't see his shadow? Okay, here we go. Here he doesn't see his shadow. He doesn't see his shadow 9 times on record. How often is he right? 7 out of those 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same math we did right here. I'm going to repeat the exact same math because I'm a fancy pants. I'm going to toggle these. Give me a second while I toggle these and change this to 7 and change this to 9. 7/9 out of 100. Now I think I can do this in my head. A ninth is about 11%. I'm going to guess that's about 78%. We're going to insert a squiggly equals to make it approximate. Ooh, symbol. Squiggly equals. That is about 78% of the time. So he's going to be correct 78% of the time when he doesn't see his shadow. When he doesn't see his shadow. Okay, there's the math I would do right there. I'll make it bold and I'll make it red. So it stands out red. And make the font size larger. Beautiful. Based on the percentage you just got, which is the 78%, and the one I did above it, which is 52% of the time, is Phil more often right in his predictions when he sees his shadow or when he doesn't see his shadow? And he is clearly more quote-unquote correct when he doesn't see his shadow, 78 to 52. Okay, you can't beat those numbers. He's definitely more correct when he doesn't see his shadow. Of course, this all goes back to arguing about what it even means when a groundhog sees his shadow, but that is for the people of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania to figure out. I hope that made sense. We'll catch you in class.